Do you realize that sickness is often actually a root of something in our soul? Our body is being affected by something our soul has an issue. Because we're our body, soul, and spirit. It's not always just a physical thing. That's why when you hear John Mellor pray, you'll hear him pray for emotions. He's praying over the soulish realm because he knows some sicknesses are bound in the soul. Because the heart is sick. God, heal our hearts. Heal our emotions. Well, I'm just this way because that's the way I've always been. Well, honey, we're supposed to be more and more like Christ. So get out of your that's how I've always been and start being more like him. Amen. We're supposed to grow from glory to glory.
Amen. Preach it.
There is nothing sicker. Sorry, I'm gonna tap that one. I know. There's nothing sicker than someone sitting in a church pew and they've been to church for dozens of years, maybe decades, and nothing has changed.
Yep, that's right.
That's a hypocrite. And we've all been there. Because it's the doer of the word. We're called to be a doer, not just a hearer. If all you hear in this sermon, but you don't go home and do nothing with it, then honey, you need to test your heart because you're a hypocrite. Yep. So somebody actually said something about all Christians being hypocrites one day. And I don't know why that hit my heart, but it did. Once in a while, words will, and I chew on them. I'm like, God, that really bothers me. So I was in my car and I said, Lord, that just bugs me. I said, but Lord, if I am being a hypocrite, deal with my heart. Deal with me right now. If I'm hypocritical in anything, deal with me because I don't want to be. And you know what? I'll never forget what he said to me. So quietly, the Spirit of God said, and that's the heart of a not hypocrite. Because a hypocrite will never point at themselves. It's always someone else's fault. It's because I was hurt all those years ago. I was abused. I was hurt. I was wounded. And so that's the way I am. Really? Martha could say, I'm busy because no one else does it. That's the way it's always been. My sister is so lazy. Ooh. I have to do it because my husband will not get out of bed and do it. So I have to. Every woman goes, oh, I've said that. I always have to be the one that does everything. And we complain. And we run our mouth. And our attitude stinks.
Oh my goodness, that's some good preaching.
And we miss it. Well, I'm just this way because I've always... Listen, Jesus is walking into a town and sitting in your front room.
Come on now.
Are you going to let go of it all? Or are you going to stay in the kitchen and bottle it all up and stay exactly the same way you are? Or you're going to get like Mary and get at his feet and pour yourself out?
Yep.
You get to choose which one you're going to be. I want to be like Mary and pour myself out. I don't want to stay the Martha in the kitchen who's a beast and nobody can stand her. Break the unforgiveness out of my heart. Break the abuse and the trauma. God, heal my soul in all the depths of it. I don't care if it's been 40 years, 60 years, 80 years. Break it off of me. I want the fear out. I want the panic out. I want it all out of me, and I want to be pure, and I want to be poured out so he can pour all of himself into me. Because if there's any of me in there, he can't get in.
Amen.
Man, that's good preaching.
Preach it.
I'm done.
Good.
You have to get to a point where you say, I'm done. Zacchaeus didn't care he was short.
Yep.
I'll find the place of height, and I will climb it so he can see me.
Good.
Unforgiveness will keep you sick. So deal with your unforgiveness before you walk in those doors Friday night.
That's That's right.
Whoever you gotta forgive, you forgive them.
Amen.
That doesn't mean you let them go. It means you hand them to God because it's not your business anymore.
Amen.
Amen.
You hand them over to the Lord and you say, it's yours. God's vengeance, His recompense. Because until you do, God can't do anything for you.
Yep.
Because you think you're still in charge.
There you go.
You know why you won't hand them to God? Because you don't trust that God will actually do something.
right there.
You believe that you have better justice than God does. You are in pride.
There you go. That's true.
You know how I know that? Because God dealt with me on that very thing. He said, your unforgiveness will keep you from my presence. And the David in me screamed, no. Nothing. I don't want anything to keep me from that. And I had an entire gang of boys I had to forgive. One by one. And I had to put them in God's hands and say they're yours. And they get to answer. And you know what He did? You know why a lot of people don't forgive? You're scared of the compassion that God's going to give you after. Because He will give you a compassion for them that no longer judges them and damns them to hell.
Amen.
Yep.
Good preaching right there.
And that's what you're really scared of. Because you're bound and determined that they deserve hell. Let me tell you something. So do you.
That's right. That's true.
And when you put that your sin and their sin were the same thing and they're equal,
Amen.
you'll realize you all need
Good
mercy.
preaching right there.
You all need God's grace.
Yes,
Yep.
It's hard to forgive, but you're going to have to bow your pride to forgive. I know I've had to. I've had to bow my pride for the 14 years
Yes, amen.
and let it go.
Yep.